Well, hello from Canada. Day 220, November 6th. Day 220 under the regime of Trudeau. It's 220 days since the signing of the Supply and Confidence Agreement that negated our parliamentary democracy, giving Trudeau a true dictatorship. However, the subject matter today, Tamara lich. As the investigative committee into the Inquiries Act is underway, the mainstream media, the propaganda department of the government, is trying once again to suggest that there was some fuddery with the convoy money. Now, let's look at who investigated, audited, and the accountants sent in to see what happened with that $24 million that were sent by the small fringe majority, as Trudeau calls them, who supported the convoy. Anyways, the Canadian government itself investigated it, and I'm sure our King Trudeau there said, if Tamara lich didn't make off with $1 million and buy a private Learjet, make it look like she did. And of course, his minions at the accounting department, I don't know what department or division of the government did the accounting. They would have said, well, we can't. There's too many other people doing an audit, a forensic audit on the convoy's money. Who else, Trudeau says, who else would be doing that? Well, we have CSIS. They did an accounting audit, an audit. CSIS is like our Canadian equivalent to the CIA in the States. The RCMP audited it. They're like the equivalent of the American FBI. Again, the Canadian government itself. Oh, the big banks. They were involved because Trudeau had, with their compliance, the banks that is, frozen bank accounts, right? We all heard about that. So their auditors were in there. The credit card companies, because people donated on their credit cards. The two different fund me companies, I'll just call them, they of course had to audit. And I mean, we can assume they go through millions of dollars a year. They must have accountants who can count without past 10 without taking their boots off, unlike Trudeau himself and his Minister of Finance, Chrystia Freeland. Oh, and then we have Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam, you say? Well, Trudeau, you wanted an accounting done, and it showed that 88% of the donations of that 24 odd million dollars came from small donations from Canadian citizens. Would seem that fringe minority maybe isn't such a minority, eh? But anyways, excuse me, it turned out there were no Russians. Vladimir didn't send any money. Trudeau tried to claim, and his ministers tried to claim it was foreign funded and possibly Russian, but turned out no. 88% came from Canadian citizens. The other 12% we can assume was largely, predominantly, I would think, 10, 11% of it was from U.S. citizens. So you think Uncle Sam didn't put an eye on it too? Yeah, sure he did. So, could it be more thoroughly audited? I mean, we have a battalion of auditors and accountants from, again, CSIS, the RCMP, the Canadian government, the big banks, the credit card companies, the two GoFundMe or whatever companies you want to call them, fund me companies, and Uncle Sam. And yet there are still some turnips out there. By turnips, I mean they're no smarter than turnips, who think that she made off with the money. Hey, if she'd have bought so much as a cup of coffee from that money, the CBS, well, the mainstream legacy media, the propaganda department of the government, would have been headlines then and to this day. So, myth debunked. You turnips out there who think that she made off with so much as a thin dime. Yeah, well, that's why I call you turnips.